What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Links and Locks podcast. I'm Jason Sobel from GolfBet here in Augusta. No, I'm not currently in Augusta National. I got to leave at some point. I'm sitting in the rental house in my Georgia adorned room. There's a big UGA fan who the other 51 weeks out of the year lives in this room. I will be a dog fan for the week. I wonder if there's a couple of Georgia guys out there. I wonder if that's a sign. Alongside with me tonight, as always, my pal Ben Everill from the PGA Tour, and we're going to go through our 18 best bets for this week's Masters tournament, the best week of the year. Benny, are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready, mate. I'm absolutely pumped. I might argue that the Players was pretty good this year, given an Aussie won it, and if we can get an Aussie winner here, perhaps the same one, hint, then I'll be very happy indeed. But yeah, mate, obviously huge, and it's been overshadowed a bit, hasn't it, by the man that will or won't play.
And I think we might mention his name as well. I will take minus 10,000 right now that Ben Everill mentions an Aussie at some point on this podcast. I think that's a very sure bet right now. All right, let's get into it. We're going to play 18 holes, go through our 18 favorite bets for the Masters this week. Benny, you are first off the tee. What you got?
Oh, I got to go to the big T-dub, the big cat. Figure out what we're going to do with Tiger Woods and will he play, won't he play? What's going to happen? We don't know. But what I did see, which I found quite interesting on one of the early props this week, was over under 75.5 for a first round score for Tiger Woods. I'm getting on the bandwagon. I think if he's here to play, he feels he can actually play half decent. I think he'll be under 75.5 if he does play. And I saw sort of minus 125. I want to get on the bandwagon there and wish him well. I don't want to see Tiger Woods come back and shoot 77, 79, 80. Will he do that? Maybe. Don't know. None of us have seen him, but I hope he doesn't. Also, just quietly, there was a prop on, will he have a hole in one? I think it was 80-1.
Yes.
I never go in those sort of things, but They do have the 16th hole on Sunday. Maybe.
I mean, for a singular player to do it, if it's, will somebody have a hole in one? I like that. That said, I will get to my Tiger Woods plays. I can tell you, Benny, I watched him play 4 holes on Monday afternoon as he played the first 9 here at Augusta National. I have changed my opinion just a little bit after watching Tiger. I'll tease you this much. He had a few tee shots past Justin Thomas during their 9-hole match.
So you like my under 75
9-hole practice round? Yes, I like the under 75.5 a lot. I will jump on that. I'll jump on a few others in just a little bit. Hole number 2, I'm going to get to a first round leader bet. We're going to work our way up through the week. And there's a guy that has some value in the marketplace, both for full tournament and for first round leader. I feel like the only reason Sam Burns doesn't have a shorter number this week is because he's never played Augusta National in competition before. You know what? That used to matter a lot. I feel like these days, these guys tend to learn things pretty quickly. We think about Jordan Spieth, think about Will Zalatoris last year. Sam Burns he was a top 10 player in the world 2 weeks ago. Now he's the 11th ranked player in the world. He's not far off, but he's a tremendous world-class player. He's going to figure it out. His Thursday scoring average has been tremendous over the last 2 seasons. 16th last year, 12th this year at 45-1 plus 4,500. I'm firing Sam Burns, first round leader.
Oh, I like it. Young bloke who could actually start to threaten that 1979 record of first timers not winning. If anyone could do it, he's one that could fit in there. All right, hole 3, I'll give you my first round leader. And you've just been paid out on your minus 80,000 or whatever it was you put up, because I am going to say, from down under, Marc Leishman is a great pick for first round leader. 4,500 or more I've seen. He was the first round leader at Augusta in 2013. He's been in the top 5 in other years, I think 2014. He has contended a few times at Augusta. He's not in the greatest form, but he is, by all reports, practicing very well at Augusta, loves the joint, always gets up for it. And I think that he will be there when early on, he'll be ready to rumble. So that's where I like my man Leish in that first round leader category.
Very interesting on Leishman. It's supposed to get windy on Friday and Saturday. We always like Marc Leishman in the wind. That said, it's not going to be fast and firm. It's sort of the same combination that we had for the Players Championship last month, where it's soggy but fast, but windy, and so the ball's not going to necessarily roll out in the fairways, although it's going to roll on the greens. Greens have the sub-air system, and of course, they're going to be as quick as they would like it to be. So interesting, at least that perspective to think about those things. Fourth hole, I'm sticking with my man, Sam Burns. And this is as much of a Sam Burns play as it is a Bryson DeChambeau fade. There aren't a whole lot of guys on this board that I look at and say, don't like them this week. Quite frankly, if you pick anyone in the top 30 or 40 in the world ranking, you can probably convince me there are at least pros and cons to every single player. You can convince me of pretty much anyone you like. And I'd say, okay, I can see it. Might not be my favorite play, but at least I can see it. The one guy that I don't like is Bryson DeChambeau. He came into the interview room in the press building at Augusta National on Monday and said, look, doctors told me I shouldn't be playing right now. It really hurts. I'm not in good shape. I'm not healthy right now. He's essentially telling us to fade him. I don't like taking minus 155 in most matchups. I will take Burns at minus 155 against Bryson. I think that's just a really smart play. Just get a little bankroll for yourself before you go into the week. And I think you can assume that one is going to cash right there, Benny.
Yeah, look, I try to stay away from the negative, as you know, working at the tour. But like, if the guy himself's telling us that he's not right to go, that's a massive red flag. And you think that if things don't go amazingly from the word go for him, the push through barrier is going to be hard for him to keep going. The give up meter, as we call it, might come up pretty quickly for Bryson DeChambeau, and he might start taking on shots, trying to be a bit of a hero, and that'll obviously hurt even more. So it makes sense to sort of keep him on the negative side of your thoughts rather than the positive. All right, hole 5, right? Well, I'm sort of bringing it in this week. This week I'm going from, I'm going to go from the top 30, 20, 10, all the way down. So we're going to start with a long shot, though, to begin with. My long shot for this week, Robert MacIntyre. I think he's 100, 110, 120, 150 even in some spots. Let me tell you why I think that you could sprinkle something across the sort of the top 10, 20, 30, 40 markets for Robert MacIntyre. He was 12th, I believe, last time in his first start at the Masters. But what caught my eye more than anything was he led the field in par breakers, the absolute most birdies / eagles of the field last year at the Masters, which means he knows how to get the ball in the hole quickly here. He would have learnt from some of those mistakes that he did make to mean that he didn't sort of finish in the top 5 last time out. And with that being said, I think that, he might be a sneaky value way back there in the back of the field, which it's hard to find them in this one. As I said, like 91 players, all the top 30 could win. It most likely will be from the top 30 in the world rankings, by the way, that will win here, if history is anything to go by. But yeah, I think you got some value there in Robert MacIntyre.
I like that. That's an interesting play. I had him in my preview this week as a potential one and done or a pick for majors pools, because you got to think about game theory a little bit. Don't be afraid to, if you've got, and I'm in some of these majors pools, you've got maybe 4 or 5 picks for the entire week. Look, yeah, everyone wants to take Rahm and JT and Colin Morikawa and Scotty Scheffler. At some point you go, hey, look, if I take a guy that nobody else has and he wins this thing, I win the entire pool. So there's definitely some game theory involved, and he's a guy I like for some of those as well. All right, 6th hole, I'm sticking with a matchup. This one's a 3-ball on DraftKings, fading Webb Simpson. He hasn't been in great health lately as far as that neck of his. Kevin Na, he's going to find a very, very long golf course for him this week. And so I'm going to take in this 3-ball matchup Talor Gooch at plus 185. Really good ball striker, really good iron player. We all know Augusta National is a second shot golf course. So I will take a good second shot player, guy that scores with his irons and wedges, in Talor Gooch in that one.
Oh, yeah. All right. Not bad. I love it. All right. Let's go to hole 7. Now moving into the top 30 market. And from there, I'm going to go again with a bit of a down under flavor and a guy, I think, just value. I just wanted to find some value in this because, as I said, with only the top 50, I believe, and ties making the cut, it's basically the guys that make that cut that you've got to look at for this market. And Cam Davis, another debutant with a long game that can handle the wind. I think at 275, he can sneak his way into that top 30 and give you some value in a market that, generally speaking, has negative or minus or plus 100s, 120. Look for the big hitting, bombing Aussie to push his way into the top 30 on debut.
Where's he from?
He's a Sydney boy, but
he's from Australia.
Yeah.
Now okay, I
played with Tiger, by the way, on Sunday.
Yeah,
and he had some things to say about it. Got some valuable advice from Tiger. Wasn't overawed by the situation. And again, he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder. He knows that not many people are thinking that he can do much in these big events, but he'd like to prove them wrong.
How cool is that? Cam Davis shows up at Augusta National for the first time. They're like, "There's Tiger. You want to play with this guy?" He's like, "Wow, the welcoming committee here is fantastic. This is so nice." All right. I will go with my eighth hole. There's a 5-man group bet on DraftKings. There's Abraham Answer in there. Then there's some guys with some serious history at Augusta National. Justin Rose, who has one of the best scoring averages there of all time. Bubba Watson, 2-time champion. Sergio Garcia, champion. And I'm taking a guy over all 4 of those guys. Max Homa, 4 straight top 20 finishes coming in. He's rounding into some really good form. I don't think he's scared of the big event whatsoever at plus 330 in that group. He's going to be the guy that most people look at and say, he's not the big name. I don't like Homa there, but I think Homa has a really nice week this week.
Yeah, look, Max Homa is just the right temperament for this tournament. No, or any tournament, to be honest. I feel like he's always going to be in a positive frame of mind and always be ready to do his best, amongst anyone he plays against. And I think he's got that competitive edge too. So I do like that. All right, let's finish off this front 9 then, mate, with a top 20 play. Again, I've gone for value here. And I like a man who had a bit of a chance there last week at the Valero Texas Open. Didn't ultimately get it done, but has been trending towards getting back towards his best of late. And that is Gary Woodland. 250 for a top 20. Can he win? Possibly. Like, he could be one of those out of the blocks winners that we haven't seen in a while. But more likely, I think he probably contends again. Could sneak up on a few people. And the value there for a top 20 at 250 for a guy who's won a major championship before, Pebble Beach no less, is something that I didn't mind the look of. He gets a bit shaky, I said, down the stretch in the last few times. But if we're only looking at top 20, I like what Gary Woodland gives us.
So I will start off with the top 20 play on Mr. Tiger Woods. Officially right now, as we speak, Monday evening, he is not in the field, but Benny, I watched him play. He's in the field. He's playing well. I came into the week saying, look, if you want a little punt on Tiger, top 40, he's never finished outside the top 40 and 21 career starts as a professional at the Masters. I'm revising that after watching him. I was going to have him. I thought it was very high on my ranking of the overall field, somewhere in the, low to mid 20s. I watched him play and I said, I got to move him up inside the top 20. So I'm putting a top 20 on Tiger Woods plus 150. Don't love the number. Never going to get a great number on Tiger. Deal with it. If you like him, if you want a ticket, if you want to root for him this week and have some investment, there you go. Top 20 on Tiger at plus 150.
Love it. As I said, I saw that under 75.5 and thought, I know it's not great at minus 125, but you want a reason to get on board. If you haven't got one already, grab one. And that's a good reason given.
Yeah.
11th hole for me. I'm now down to my top 10 pick. I'm going to go with the man who contended at a previous Masters, the last one. Could have had a chance to win it if he just had a few things go his way, and that's Will Zalatoris. 50, I think I saw around, or 300 in some spots for a top 10. We're talking about second stroke golf course. We're talking about that a lot. And he is way up there in greens in regulation on tour and way up there in strokes gained approach. Because of that, I can't discount him. I know he's had some putter issues over the last little bit, but in the match play, there were times where he made some massive putts and showed that he could do it under pressure. So I think that Zalatoris can once again contend for a top 10 there at 250.
I'm going to skip over what I originally had for the 12th hole, and I'm going to go to my 14th hole instead, because it's keeping with the theme. I've got Will Zalatoris for a top 5 play. I just saw so much potential from him at this event last year. It's a perfect golf course for him. And what I saw a few weeks ago at the match play is, here's a guy happy learned how to putt. He figured out how to roll that rock on the greens. And I don't know, maybe it's still a honeymoon period, but there's no better place to honeymoon than Augusta, Georgia. So Will Zalatoris, I think, has another big week in store here at the Masters, plus 600, by the way, for that top 5.
Oof. All right, well, I guess we're now at the 13th hole for my top 5. Now, look, I usually stay away from favourites, but I had to give this guy a run somewhere. And Jon Rahm, for me, is not necessarily my favourite winner, so I'm going to put him in the top 5. It's 230 for a top 5. Why do I like Jon Rahm, even though he's not been playing well of late? Well, quite simply because, as we've just sort of said, look, we've had 25 winners from when Tiger won in 97. 19 of those 25 winners have been in the top 10 that week in greens in regulation. 8 of those were ranked first in that stat that week when they won. Comparatively, fairways, accuracy, only 5 of 25 have been in the top 10 that week. Putts, only 10 of 25 have been that week. It's all about the approach. And who is leading greens and reg on tour this year so far? None other than Jon Rahm. So, look, not great form coming in, but it's the type of place where he could just find it. I'm not confident enough to put him in the outright, but I am confident to think he can contend in the top 5, 230 for me.
I like it. And you just talked about approach shots, you talked about iron shots. Benny, who is the best iron player on the PGA Tour right now?
Maybe Morikawa or Hovland?
You might think so. Morikawa, Hovland, maybe Justin Thomas, Will Zalatoris, who we just mentioned. Corey Connors is tremendous. And yet leading the PGA Tour in strokes gained on approach shots this season
Henley.
Is Russell Henley. There you go. I knew you were going to get there. A top 10 on Russell Henley. Look, I look at Russell Henley as others in the analytics industry use the oxymoronic term of positive regression, which is what he is due. He is like the baseball pitcher who's 7-12 with a 2.60 ERA and is due for some more wins at some point, just based on how well he's pitching. Russell Henley is a guy that I think that good result is coming. He's played well, hasn't missed a cut yet this season. In fact, he's made the cut in 15 straight. Top 10 plus 250 for Russell Henley. As I sit in the UGA, what looks like the UGA dorm room over here with Georgia Bulldogs logos all over the place, I got to pick a dog.
Yeah, look, mate, I love that. I actually had him here on my shortlist and didn't slot him, but I had him on a shortlist for 40, 30, 20, 10, and even 5. He gives you value across the board exactly for that reason. Leads in strokes gained on approach this year. On occasion, is pretty decent with the flat stick too. That is definitely a sleeper to keep an eye on. Great pick that. So where am I? 15, hole 15. Mm-hmm. All right. So my last two are going to be, I guess, my outright picks, if you will. And to be fair and to be honest, I've got these both in the same bracket. I'm finding it hard to split between the two of them, but I'm going to start with an American who I was pretty gung-ho on a couple of weeks ago going into the match play. I still think he's trending in the direction, and it's former champion Dustin Johnson at 16-1. I have a really good feeling about him. I'm not sure why. 24 tour wins, T9 at the Players, 4th at the match plays I just mentioned. He won this in 2020, but it also, people say, oh, that was November, different course. Well, in 15, he was 6th. In 16, he was 4th. In 18, he was 10th. In 19, he was 2nd. He's 81 under on the par 5s at Augusta National over his career. That's where he's going to make his hay. All he needs to do, literally went deep dive on Dustin Johnson. If he is to contend, really where he needs to make sure he does okay, holes 17 and 18. His two worst holes. If he just gets it around in par, even 1 over for the week on both of those, he will be in the top 5. He will be pushing for another victory. So Dustin Johnson, 16, 17, 18-1, depending on where you go. I just think he's trending in the right direction.
Very, very interesting. You and I picked the exact same strategy, saving 2 outrights for the end of this, which we didn't even talk about that. I swear we never talk about these plays before we get on the pod, and then we have some of the same players, some of the same strategies. But on the 16th hole, I will go with a guy that, as of a few weeks ago, he was my favorite outright play. I've been saying his name for Augusta for about 6 months now. Recent form has been soured on him just a little bit, just enough to put him second on my list, but not enough to keep me away from playing some outrights on him, especially at the number that he's drifted to, which is 25-1 plus 2,500 on Patrick Cantlay, who owns all the talent in the world. I think he can go out there and win this golf tournament. In fact, people forget he led on the back 9 in 2019 before Tiger Woods came and stole that green jacket. But Patrick Cantlay is a guy that is going to win a major. It's not going to take him much longer. I look at the last 3 starts, a 33rd at the Genesis, a missed cut at the Players, and then didn't reach the weekend at the match play. Individually, you can look at each one and sort of wave it off. Together, you look at all 3 and you say, oh, well, he hasn't been playing that well. Doesn't scare me too much. He's not that far off from playing some really good golf. I think it's coming this week.
Yeah, mate, he was the one, the FedEx Cup champ. I literally put a big question mark there because I just didn't know which way to go. Like you can make a case both ways, but I'm with you. I'm on the camp that I feel like, if anything, he's going to come out the top end of it this week, and he's going to love the fact that no one's really talking about him. He's going to love that he's not in the top line of conversation. So definitely a good pick there. All right, well, last one for me, 17th hole. Surprise, surprise.
Come on. He comes from a land of down under.
Players champion Cameron Smith. Now, look, do I love 14, 16 to 1 that you're grabbing from the start? No. But if he wins, who cares? You're going to cash on that. Look, again, who's in the top 10 on tour for both greens in reg and strokes gained on approach? Cameron Smith. Who just went lights out at the Players, including putting like the dots off the ball? Cameron Smith. Who's well rested, which isn't a problem for one Cameron Smith. Remember, he won in record fashion at Kapalua off a big break. Cameron Smith, he did that by taking on the current world number one at the time, Jon Rahm, over the head-to-head over the last 2 rounds. He is made for this. He's unflappable. He won't be worried about, any of the extra pressure or any of the expectation. He can absolutely become the first person and only other person since Tiger to win the Players and the Masters in the same year. You said you had a guy you've been on all year. I was on Cam Smith to win this thing from the start of the year before Kapalua. He's gone better than I could have expected in the lead up. His dad's in town. We know how he does with family in town. And he's just ready, and I had one of the more hilarious pre-tournament presses today as well, being asked exactly how much he liked to party and what beers he liked to drink by the random journalist that you might find it every now and then at a major. But look, I just love the mulleted man, and I think that he can do it.
All right, I like that play. 14, 16 to 1 on Cam Smith is nice, but I'm going to take my 20 to 1 on a 4-time major champion who tends to get up for major championships. I didn't really believe it the first time. I said, he can't just flip the switch and start playing his best golf. Didn't believe it the second time. The third time, I thought, maybe there's something to this. There's a trend. By the fourth one, I'm like, okay, I get it. Brooks Koepka doesn't care about the other events. And then he shows up and plays his best golf at majors. Well, here's the thing this week. Brooks Koepka's actually been playing some really good golf this year. He's healthy. He's motivated. He's got that chip on his shoulder. He loves having a chip on his shoulder. He loves having people doubt him. He loves being questioned. Hey, do you think there are 20 players better than you in the world after he was ranked 21st earlier this year? He said, nah, definitely not. I'm going to show them. I'm going to beat that. And he's mad at the world ranking formula that has him down there. He's mad at everybody. I love it. Use that as motivation. Brooks Koepka at 20 to 1 this week. I think that's a spectacular number for a guy who we know is going to be there down the stretch, Benny.
Mate, honestly, I've got this one. Let me get it. I've got it here. No, I had written on a piece of paper. Here it is. The 2 big question marks I had, which I wanted to pick, but just didn't know if I could go there. I don't know if you can see that, but BK and Cantlay. And they're the 2 you've just put out for outright winners. So they were ones that I had a good feeling about. I just something kept me back and went to the other 2 instead. But the fact that you've gone hard on those 2 means that clearly we're onto something, and maybe there's a 4, toss up the 4 together to finish in a parlay in the top 10, and you might get something massive. Yeah,
I like that. How about DJ, Cam Smith, Cantlay, Koepka, all to finish in the top 10? That would be a nice parlay. All right, maybe we'll throw that on for the 19th hole. Guess who doesn't like a nice 19th hole? Thanks so much, Benny Everill. Thanks to the listeners out there. Good luck with all your plays this week. Remember, you can find the Links and Locks podcast everywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. Subscribe, download, rate, and yes, listen to us, not just this week from Masters Week, but every single week. Good luck with all your bets. Here's hoping you hit the green.